Hey, people of the party. My name's Ryan. I'm the founder of the Hex Bones Tabletop Club. And today I want to talk about Dungeon Crawl Classics. I want to talk about why it's awesome and why it's easy for beginners to pick up and why the Hex Bones Tabletop Club is going to be playing it. So I've got the rulebook pulled up here and we're just going to go look through it. Let's see. So let's start here. Let's talk about how this game is different. If you're coming from a different RPG system, you're still using it's a D20 system. You're still rolling D20s and trying to roll high to beat some other kind of score. It's the Ascending Armor class from Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So if you know that, you'll be really familiar with what's going on here. One special thing that you got to get out of the way immediately is that instead of having advantage or disadvantage like 5th edition does, Dungeon Crawl Classics uses something they call the dice chain. For example, you have a bunch of weird dice that you get to use. This is a D24, for example. There's a D5 and a D7, and I think there's 7 different funky dice, like as they like to call them. But instead of having advantage or disadvantage, sometimes your judge will have you roll a D16 instead of a D20 if you would have had disadvantage. And you're still trying to hit the same numbers. But I mean, who doesn't want to collect more dice and have weirder things happen? And speaking of rolling dice, the magic system in Dungeon Crawl Classics is something that everybody always wants to talk about because it's awesome. I'll have a kind of a class introduction in the next video, and I'll get deeper into it, but there are tables for everything. Dungeon Crawl Classics doesn't use spell slots in its magic system. You'll say that you want to cast a spell, and then you roll on a very specific spell table for that spell, and depending on how you roll, the spell can do different things, and they get out of control and crazy and really fun really fast. But if you roll poorly, then you can also lose the spell for the day, and you have to wait, and it comes back. But it almost becomes like a little push your luck mini game that you can just keep casting these spells as long as you are rolling well enough. No spell slots. So that's really cool. Classes and races are one and the same. Again, makes it really simple. It really leans into those fantasy tropes. A dwarf is a dwarf, an elf is an elf. That kind of stuff. It's cool like that. It's really going to remind you. Playing this is going to remind you of like pulp fantasy stories. Really cool. Some of the stuff that it does that you probably already know about. Clerics can still turn creatures. They're still like the holy badasses. They're still there. I went over the spell stuff. Went over the wizard stuff. All of the typically it's kind of a house rule for 5th edition at least that natural 20s are criticals and natural 1s are critical fails. That is baked into DCC. There are tables that you will roll on for a natural 20 for your crit table. So sometimes you'll get an extra damage dice, or different things will happen, and it just makes everything. It's just there's always something crazy that can happen because it seems like everybody's always rolling dice, and it's awesome. Same thing with critical fumbles. You can fumble on that table too. So I think that kind of sums up everything that I wanted to say about why Dungeon Crawl Classics is so awesome. I don't want to give too much away because a lot of it will happen while we're at the table. What I do really want to push across is, go get these free rules and check them out. This game, it might not be for everybody. If you're really serious, if you want a really serious, very Tolkien-esque role-playing game experience, this game can certainly do that. But my table particularly we're going to lean into the weird. We're going to lean into the crazy and the random dice rolls that happen. And that said, especially if you've never played before, pop in here. I'm making these videos hopefully to kind of ease some of the anxiety for somebody that's never played before, and just pop in and join. DCC is very light on rules. There are a lot of tables that you have to roll on, but I think each character class only has 2 pages, maybe 3 pages of rules. Really easy to pick up, and everybody that's playing at my table would be more than happy to explain and teach you all about it. So my next video, we'll go into some of the character classes and kind of give a brief overview about how each one of those plays, your play style, how you want to jam on that. So I'll see you there.